Hi, I am Patrick Bark with Aurelia. In this video, I'm going to review the Web User Interface, or Web UI, of our timing platforms. This will be applicable to both our SecureSync and Versa platforms. I'll review the different features, functionalities, look and feel, and the general navigation of the Web UI that you'll encounter when you log in for setup or for monitoring of your unit. We'll do some more in-depth or product-specific videos later, so please keep an eye out for those. To access the Web UI, you'll enter the IP address once the unit is connected. As you can see, I've done that already. The first screen that you'll see is this login screen. So this is where you'll enter your login information and you're in. Before I log in, I just want to point out, I have the default information set here currently. You can adjust that later on, and I encourage you to because you have more security if you do that. Normally, at this point, you would be prompted to register your device. This one is already registered, so it's not asking me to do that. I highly recommend that you do register your product because then you'll get the product updates and notifications that have to do with your product. This is essential to maintaining the highest level of security and efficiency for your product. So at the top of the page, you can see the menu. This is broken down into 5 major tabs. So we've got Home, Interfaces, Management, Tools, and Help. First, we'll review the home page. Next is our reference status section, which does exactly that. It gives you status information on all of the different references that your system is using. This section will also show the priorities in which they were configured. At the bottom is the performance section, where you also get a quick view of the disk-planning status, phase error, and frequency error. On the left side is the overall system status. This window will pop up on a few different pages so that you can compare the specific items you're looking at to the overall status of the system. You can see the different front panel sync lights, so you've got sync, holdover, and fault. This section will also give you an overview of the NTP and then your various temperatures that are being monitored within your product. Below that is a display of the various recent events. Our next drop-down is the Interfaces tab. In this tab, you will see your different references or inputs, your outputs, and a general breakdown of the different option cards that your SecureSync is using. There will also be a 1 PPS and 10 MHz output on the base chassis of the SecureSync 1200 that will always be present when using that model. The option cards section takes you to a new page which will show a grouping of the option cards based on where they're located. To put things in perspective for you, we're currently looking at the web UI of a SecureSync 2400. This will also show a breakdown by slot of the option cards that are installed. We do have another video that goes more in depth on the option cards that you have available to you. Also, if you click on the connector, it will actually highlight on the page which item it relates to. And you also have further data here. As you can see, the system status and events windows are once again appearing on the left to give you that quick reference that you may need. Next, we have the management drop-down. The network configurations are on the left. Network setup will have port-specific information. This section is specific to how many Ethernet ports you have installed. So if you only have one, then you will only see one. Under Actions, you can see the status, configuration, and routing tables for each of those interfaces. This section will also help with more specific network settings that aren't port or interface related. Under that is the Network Services section, where you'll see on and off switches for managing different network services. One of the other main highlights of the network section is the SNMP section. This is where you can set up traps, SNMP v1, 2, or 3, among other things. NTP is also another highlight. This has the NTP performance information. You can see under Status Summary that we have graphs for time and frequency offsets and status information that NTP is providing. You can do configuration here as well. The other side of the management dropdown is Other. These are all of the non-network related management items. Disciplining is also something you may use a lot. So here you can check the disciplining status of your timing product or restart disciplining. You can also view graphical data over time, such as phase or frequency error. Your product saves up to a week's worth of data at a time, and you can also use this function here to zoom in or out of specific periods of time. So you can get more detail on that specific period if you know where a certain event has happened. A few other sections of note that are under the Other section are log configurations, where you can set up system logs for remote log or log files. Authentication is mostly for general user management, such as adding users and password and security policy changes, but also configuration for remote authentication services like LDAP and Radius. The final dropdown we have here is Tools. The Journal section is important for viewing the log files. This is where you'll find more details about specific journal log entries. The System, Reference, and Ethernet monitor pages also contain graphical status data information. This section also has the Reboot and Halt function, and the Show Clock function, which just shows a clock on the screen. I'll focus for a moment on the Upgrade Backup page, since this can be very important. The center table will provide all system configuration information, such as software version, serial number, and oscillator type. Appended to the end of the list is the license that's installed. On the right is details about the software versions, and on the left is the disk status. You'll also see the Actions section here, where you can update your system software. If you have a SecureSync, here you'll find information on what option cards are installed with software, firmware, FPGA for each. This was an introduction of the web UI of our timing platforms. Please refer to more product-specific web UI videos or your online manual for details specific to your model. You can also contact our customer services team through www.aurolia.com/support or timingsupport@aurolia.com. Thank you.